Johannesburg ANC chairperson Geoffrey Makhubu says that the party had to postpone the motion of no confidence against Mayor Herman Mashaba in Johannesburg due to last-minute complications. The ANC suddenly withdrew the motion without explanation, saying that it will table it again in the next 2 weeks. Makhubu says that their partners had some issues that they were not clear on. This would have been the ANC's third motion of no confidence in the Johannesburg mayor. The ANC has accused Mashaba of being responsible for the poor financial status of the city of Johannesburg since he took over 3 years ago. The ANC says that the motivation was an attempt to simply save the city. Well, let's find out from somebody who's been monitoring. In fact, speaking to the media after the council meeting, Mashaba said that he was disappointed that the ANC had withdrawn its motion as he wanted the matter to be resolved once and for all.
We had an opportunity right now. That's what the ANC has been claiming, and exactly your words is what the ANC has been claiming all along when they came out with this frivolous motion. Why didn't they test it now so that we don't deal with this matter as an academic matter? This is not an academic matter. One thing I would really want the ANC to understand, we as public servants, we have to act with caution. We need to really be responsible in what we say. Now you can imagine the question that you've just asked. They are the ones who've been spreading this rumor. Why all of a sudden they had an opportunity to prove it? Why didn't they let the council decide? Because they said they have the people. I think, as I said, perhaps CR17 didn't come out with enough money in the last 24 hours to give them to buy the votes, because that's one thing that they're specializing in doing, in buying the votes.
That was Johannesburg Mayor Herman Mashaba, who should have faced, might have faced a third motion of no confidence earlier today, but the ANC withdrew that at the last minute. Well, SABC reporter Mzwandile Mbeje has been following that story for us, and I saw a conversation that you had with Mr. Makhubu this morning, and they seemed determined to go ahead at that point. Not very confident when he spoke to you about the EFF's vote. So what do you think's happened?
Well, Peter, it's a bit difficult to say, but of course this is politics. Just before proceedings could go on, the EFF requested a 30-minute adjournment, which was granted, and then from there, when we just had to get off the proceedings, the ANC requested a 30-minute adjournment. So it would appear to me, Peter, that that session the EFF had so perhaps informed their next course of action, and then it filtered through to the ANC, perhaps to say, well, somehow we'll save this mayor. Because when they came back from that session, Peter, that caucus, the ANC was basically saying, anyway, you are the EFF mayor. They produced the EFF shirt with the face of the mayor to say, we are gifting you with this one. So it would appear that they had got the wind that perhaps if they continued, they were going to lose it.
So what does this mean? I mean, they said they're going to retable this in 2 weeks' time. Do you think that the public watching this playing out might start to question, is this about maladministration or is this political games?
Well, I think it's a bit of both. Perhaps if you walk in the city of Johannesburg, I mean, it's clear to everyone the city remains very dirty. There's still a lot of challenges within the city. I assume the ANC would point that one out as something of a maladministration. But of course, Peter, you and I know this is politics. So in politics, you want to be in charge. If you are not in charge, you try every means possible to unseat your enemy. I think that this is what is basically happening right now.
So do you think it was a battle of who got the stronger message out? The message that Herman Mashaba was putting out is that these guys want to remove me because I'm uncovering corruption, whereas the ANC is saying, no, this guy's running the city into the ground. In the end, they had to convince not just the EFF, but other parties to go with them. So do you think that it was a battle of winning minds?
You know, my own reading of the situation, Peter, remember there's been a number of by-elections in Johannesburg. In fact, the ANC recently took the ward from the DA. And even there's, I think, a ward around Midrand, which was highly contested, and the ANC came within the whisker of taking that ward. So I feel that the ANC is feeling emboldened that perhaps the sentiment is more towards us as the ANC. And then you look at the previous elections, Peter, where everyone thought the ANC was going to lose this province, and then somehow they won it. And I think they feel they are on a stronger footing. Perhaps they are testing their support to say, if we then test this kind of support, how strong are we? And also within the small coalition parties, a party like the IFP, remember they've offered Mkhuleko Hlengwa, the chairperson of Scopa. So we've given something, you give us something.
But if these corruption allegations turn out to be true, or there's even an ounce of veracity there, this could be a problem for anyone who votes for someone who's fighting corruption, in inverted commas.
Absolutely, and that's where the law enforcement agencies are very necessary. In fact, because sometimes, Peter, it ends up really, what's the word? But if you keep on talking about, let's say, if you keep on labeling me as corrupt, but you can't bring anything as concrete, and people, even when there's actually real acts of corruption that I am committing, but because you've not been able to produce evidence, people will end up really not taking you seriously. So whoever really is coming up with these issues of corruption, I think they must take them to law enforcement agencies, and law enforcement agencies must be able to act on them so that this thing is settled once and for all. Otherwise, we'll keep on accusing each other, and the public will basically be left confused, and they will lose trust in the political system.
Mzwandile Mbeje, always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much indeed for your thoughts.
Thanks, Peter.
All right, so we'll find out in 2 weeks' time whether this motion of no confidence does take place again.